family, welcome to another episode of Underground Railroad Productions, UGR TV. This your host, Brother Rich. It's that time of the year again. I want to talk to these brothers right here. It's always like a conflicting sort of perspective on these holidays that we're about to be approaching toward the end of the year. Halloween, Thanksgiving, and Christmas, where a lot of quote-unquote conscious people feel as though they're European holidays, pagan holidays, and we don't need to celebrate them. Then a lot of cultists feel as though Halloween is an important day. It's a day of celebration. I believe Azariah said it was Ancestors' Day at one time. Am I right? It was a celebration of our ancestors. A lot of other people feel as though it's just some satanic devil shit. They see the white folks got a hold of it and they don't want no part of it. Just dealing with the dark side, the occult realm, the metaphysical realm, the unseen realm, that of which we all come from. I want to get your perspective on this this holiday that we're about to embark on in a couple of days, Halloween. Could you, in the dark side, could you expand on that for me, please?
Thank you, Brother Rich. Excellent question. To be honest with you, I was planning on taking advantage of this date, this Halloween, this coming up, to actually do a lecture entitled Welcome to the Dark Side, you know what I'm saying? Where we were going to reveal some of the information that we've been gathering, dealing with the power of the dark side, the pros and the cons of the dark side, the power of tapping into the dark side, and not only the power of tapping into the dark side, we were going to show and prove numerous examples of groups of people who are utilizing dark force energy to navigate through this reality that we call life. Now, as a result of, a lot of new information coming on board, we're not going to do it on Hallows Eve. We're going to actually do something with our brother Oba and let him set the stage and the foundation and whatnot to speak about some of the African traditional systems. Now, when we talk about Pan-Africans and what they've been saying about European holidays, in the study of Pan-Africanism, we tend to find African traditional systems or African traditional religions. And inside of those African traditional religions, I don't see too many Pan-Africans that embrace that and come forth and say, look, these are the dark arts. This is what it had done for your ancestors. This is what it's doing for the people now, because you can't speak about Palo Mayombe, Lukumi, Santeria, and all of those things and not talk about the different groups that are benefiting off of utilizing it right now. Everybody always points to the Haitian Revolution, and that's great. But what about the revolutions that are taking place right now? What about the Cuban Revolution? What about the revolution that are taking place with these quote-unquote magical systems that exist in all places where Roman Catholicism exists, that go into war against Roman Catholicism with the dark arts? Okay? The consistent battles that are taking place in Jamaica, Haiti, Cuba, Brazil, all of these Afro-Latin, Afro-Cuban places, Mexico, Black Amigos, my nigga. Like, what about the fact that these underworld groups, these underworld movements are banging on the beast on a level that none of you niggas could fathom, that are romanticizing Africa, romanticizing Africa, you Pan-Africans that don't know Nan-Africans. 1/16 is down the block, and they don't know none of you niggas out there. You're non-existent. There's Africans up and down the strip. They don't fuck with none of them. Bottom line, I'm keeping it a buck. They have no reverence or reverence for none of these Pan-Africans out here. And that's a fact. They don't sit and break bread with them. They don't know them. They don't even relate to them, because these niggas out here play a lot of games when it comes to the real magic, what's really working, and a conversation worth having. So, with that being said, what I would want a Pan-African to teach me, or what I would want somebody who studies Africa or African religion tradition to teach, fuck all of that bullshit, fuck all of the superficial, what's evil and what's not. Things are evil. No, a system isn't evil. The person that's utilizing the system might be evil. A genie bottle is not evil. You rub on that bitch, the genie pops out, and you send him to do a mission in the name of your purpose. So we living in this world where there's moral compasses that are created that are not real. Because what your rendition of evil is not my rendition of what evil is. Because if a European gets his hand on an African deity and sends that nigga on a mission to do a job for him, It's a great deity in his mind. The person that the deity is going to work on, he might be like, yo, an evil spirit attacked me. But the person who summoned it is like a good spirit is working for me. So it's all interpretation. So what I need somebody to really come forth and do is tell me on Hallows Eve, what is the pantheon of deities that I need to summon? I'm going to be more than likely having sex that day. More than likely, I'm going to be thinking that day. More than likely, I'm going to be channeling energy. I'm going to be wishing and you know, trying to bring things, embody, invoking all kind of energy that day. So what the fuck do I do that day with the things that I did on October 30th, October 29th? It's another fucking day. But that day, they said that there's portals open up. So as a result of a portal opening up, I know that they're going to be opening up to the unseen. Right? They're going to be opening up to a world of unseen forces, the elements and whatnot. I've been told through my studying that the European cannot claim sovereignty over the unseen realm, over the deities. So what the fuck does that leave, since niggas live in a black and white world? So if that's the case, then the unseen, or these deities that are going to be walking on this land, they obviously must be, you know, if it's, yeah, they must be something that's close to my heart. So what do I do to utilize that fact or utilize that moment in time to work for me? That's all I'm interested at this point.
Gotta understand that.
What's your name, brother?
Oh, sorry. Peace, I'm Terane, the Dark Lord. I deal with the occult, all right? And one thing a lot of our people don't understand is that our power is actually in our ability to go into darkness, our ability to utilize the dark side. All the nations in the world understand that a nation's power is actually in its dark forces, its defense, its army. What determines a superpower? The strength in the army, right? And then when you go deeper into that metaphysically, is that army's ability to utilize its darkness and emphasize and utilize that on all different levels. So on Samhain, Halloween, right? We dealing with, okay, we all know that the veil is thin, right? And the funny thing is we cannot give this energy to the European because it's been around since day one. On October 31st, since day one on this planet, the portal opens up and there's a thin veil, right? What I like to explain to people is that, like, a lot of us understand what happy hour is, right? The time between 2 and 4:30 a.m. where the thin veil is open. This is where you do your meditations, right? This is where witching hour, right? The veil where you interact with your ancestors. So I want a lot of you who are still studying to understand that we have witching hour for an entire day on the 31st. So this is a time where you really get it in. Now, we like to look at what's on the surface when people are all acting crazy. Understand, a lot of people that are not even into dark science, witchery, they're dressing up for a reason. It's the energy. So what you want to do, okay, a lot of you having sex that night, you got to get into your sex magic. Take that energy, have sex under the moon, and think about manifestation, whoever you're having sex with. You know, another thing you want to get into when the first thing you want to do is deal with your ancestors, okay? A lot of you are not trained to interact with your ancestors because you don't practice enough. So take that thin veil as an opportunity because they are expecting to connect with you. And they get disappointed when you don't take the veil, okay? And then the last thing I want to say is that deal with the darker energies, Mom and Bridget, okay, Baron Samedi. Deal with the crossroad energy and stop being afraid of the dark side, okay? A lot of you are entertained by gangster movies. You know, you're entertained by hood stories, gangster rap. why the hell would it be appealing if it's not within your culture? Okay? Evil and dark is two totally different things. You gotta really open up. I want a lot of you to open up to getting into darker energy, because it's the darker energy that really moves this planet.
Indeed. I've even pointed out several times where they say that there's nothing new under the sun. And I say, yeah, all new things are born under moonlight, right? Dark light is actually what illuminates, right? The bioluminescent light of the moon is what actually grows new things on this planet. It's actually what forces plant life to grow. You know what I'm saying? It's actually where life is born. You're in darkness for 9 months before you come into the light. So there's power in darkness, and we're not to be spooked by it. We have to erase all puritanical notions of, quote unquote, this concept of dark versus light. You feel me? And we have to understand that, shit, even according to the biblical narrative, darkness was here first. You know what I'm saying? Before God said, let there be light. So dark preceded that, so there has to be power there. You feel me? So these are opportunities for us, because we're going to participate anyway. All right? We're going to participate. We're going to show up. Whether you are Christian, you know, I don't really know about Muslims, you know what I'm saying? Even though if I'm sure that if we drive through Philly, we'll probably see a lot of people dressed up on Halloween. They might not be doing it in Saudi Arabia or places like that, but I'm sure that, you know, in communities where people are predominantly religious, whatever that religion may be, they participate with the folk tradition of Thanksgiving, of Halloween, and Christmas. You know what I'm saying? Even though none of these things are found in their books. The church is not standing between you and any of these pagan traditions. Some of them even promote it. You can't find Christmas nowhere in the Bible. You can't find Thanksgiving nowhere in the Bible. You damn sure can't find Halloween nowhere in the Bible. But as Americans, you know what I'm saying? Here in this Western world, this is what people practice as part of folk tradition. All right. So it's them bringing in a pagan aspect, you know, of how people used to do things, what they call, quote unquote, pagan, which means that this is how people were drawing power from nature, from the forest and things of that particular nature, you know. So I'm like, look, if they're saying that the gates are open and you're seeing all of these situations go down in South Carolina, then we need to tap into the ancestors, because one thing for sure, two things for certain. The ancestors are trying to tell us something about South Carolina this year. Okay, Walter Scott, April 4th, right? Shot in the back. The church shooting, all right? Charleston, South Carolina. You know, then they had the flood about 2 or 3 weeks ago, okay, which Farrakhan attributed to the ancestors and the forces, even though the majority, it was a lot of our people that got washed up in them floods. So how do you co-sign that? Unless the ancestors were saying those people were suckers. I'm not saying that. I'm just trying to rationalize what's being said. You know what I'm saying? All of it might be hogwash at the end of the day, but what we can dismiss is the ancestors are trying to tell us something about South Carolina. So the other day, you know, the girl gets abused by the police officer in that classroom. So the ancestors are in that part of this particular country that's attributed to be the hotbed of slavery, where slavery started, where a lot of these violations took place in that place. So the ancestors are alive. What you think is happening with the reintroduction of slavery into the narrative by way of these movies and things of that nature? The ancestors are alive. This is where people's minds are at. So the ancestors are upset. They're pointing our attention to this particular place for a reason. So collectively, how do we get busy? We need to organize a collective meditation on Saturday to channel this energy, you know what I'm saying, and get some remedy down in South Carolina. Let's start out there. You feel me? Let's deal with things that people are too fearful to deal with in physicality with their hands, with their bare knuckles. You feel me? You're going to have to go to other means to get these works done. All right? You're going to have to. Because something has to give at this particular point. Or you're just going to be looked at barefaced as the suckers of the universe. Or the planet. So if you don't want to do it, goddammit, go feed your ancestors and let them put some work in. But you got to do something, or you pussy. And we know what happened to people that's pussy on the block. You're going to get everything taken from you. You're going to get turned upside down. Every time you're gonna get son. Every chance somebody get an accident, you're gonna get smacked around. Your woman is gonna be abused, and all of these things happenstancely are already taking place. You feel me?
Right.
So we already said with the whole Trayvon situation, what your status on the planet is, and now you seeing that play out. You better be ready to call in your goddamn ancestors.
Yeah, so look at it from a lens of an average person. To hear y'all talk about the dark side, it's a little bit like, yeah, these niggas is a little out their mind or whatever. And when you analyze, if you look at it from a logical perspective, you know, meaning you use reason, your experience, everything you've been through, everything you've seen. You look at Haiti, okay, you say dark forces. Haiti don't look like Haiti don't look like it's been winning for a long time. You look at Africa, you think about dark forces. Africa don't look like it's been winning for a long time. You look at South America, dark forces. South America don't look like they've been winning for a long time. So then you look at what you call these quote-unquote light forces. The motherfuckers that pray to Jesus appear to be winning. When I look on TV and I see, wow, the stars that I look up to, when they give their acceptance speech, I want to thank Jesus, I want to thank God. They don't want to thank these forces y'all talking about. So y'all can say this, but when a person use their logic, they like, hold up. The persons that's winning materialistically, they're praying to Jesus and these other forces. So how can you communicate to them and tell them about these dark forces when it appears to the logical thinking mind that the other forces are winning?
I could say, yeah, I could say in all systems you have exoteric forces, right? Which are the people that are outside, you know, when we outside in the open to get the praises. And then you have esoteric forces, which is the people that I actually do these ceremonies and sacrifices to that are powering my quote-unquote success in this material realm. So when I go to a christening, a Roman Catholic ceremony, and I see them dressing candles, you know what I'm saying, and I see them carving candles and things of that nature, I know that they are paying homage to those spiritual forces in the background. But they're going to come up front and they're going to tell you something about Jesus, you know what I'm saying, which to me, which is a very, you know, I'm trying to find the right word for it. It's a very, it's a dark force. God damn it. It's fucking hypocritical. I ain't gonna get into the Jesus bashing. I'm just saying, in terms of a magical spiritual system, there's nothing more magical and spiritual at this particular point in terms of casting spells, you know what I'm saying, effectively than Jesus. You feel me? So we gotta understand on the backside, quote unquote, what do these words mean? And what are you actually paying homage to when you evoke these energies or these entities? You know what I mean? So that's the most wide open occult actualization that we are witnessing in this particular day and time. Because people think that it means one thing, but magically it means something else. You know what I'm saying? And that's why it's winning and it can be openly acknowledged, because it's a blind involved. People think that it's, yeah, that's real. That's real. It's hidden in plain sight. That's real occultism. You know what I'm saying?
That's the science being worked. That's the science being worked the way it's supposed to be worked. See, the real devils, you don't see them. Okay, the people that are really working science, you don't see them. That's the director. They're in the background. They're directing the energy. And they're showing you this and that. You know, I do want to talk about, like, there's certain revolutionary stories that you don't hear, right? Like, you don't hear about the ancient Moors whom, you know, were pirates who raided some of these slave ships and used the elemental magic. They were able to force storms on some of these slave ships, go in and save some of the women. You don't hear about the slaves, right? The women whom use sex magic, they will use sex magic and they will do sex magic rituals, dark rituals on their slave masters. They understood sexology, and then they would force their slaves to have, their slave masters to have heart attacks. You don't hear that, You're not going to hear that. So, you know, you really want to research what some of our revolutionaries actually did to get them out of a mess. And then, you know, you want to talk about Haiti, that was jumped by 3 countries and still won. And the Haitians they all attribute that to the use of Haitian voodoo, dark side.
Right. So, you know, I can't speak on behalf of Haiti as to why it appears that they're not winning nowadays. I can only say that there has been a very deep integral and you know, internal struggle between occultism and Catholicism. And occultism has been using Catholicism as a blind in order to operate in public, but now the elements of the occult have been getting washed away, and you know, the blind has been coming more so to the forefront. So here these people go thinking they could just practice Catholicism without the actual activating principles, what actually made it magical. You know what I'm saying? Oh, we don't need that no more. We just gonna do this because they feel that the power actually lies within the church. No, the power was lying within the magic behind what was going on in the church, which was in the front. So that's somewhat of an internal conflict, but we'd be better to speak to people, you know what I'm saying, that are from there, that are more cognizant of exactly what that dynamic is. Africa is the same, you know what I'm saying? They have, for whatever reason, through generations, abandoned their magic, you know, to become more, quote unquote, modernized and westernized and things of that nature. So they're trying new things out. You know what I mean? They have been totally compromised. South America is the same thing. So there's a lot of romanticism that goes along with Christianity. Anytime Christianity gets involved in these particular areas, you know, even if the wise men were incorporating certain aspects of their magic and they was using Christianity as a blind, when the children come about, they're like, look, I'm just going to use this Christianity, you know what I mean, for what it is, and I'm going to leave that old religion alone. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to leave that alone. I'm not even learned in that. You feel me? I want to come to America and win. I want to, you know what I mean? So they don't do the things that are necessary in terms of ritual. They don't do the things that are necessary in terms of paying homage during certain juncture points during the season. Same way that our people here are not taking the herbs during the beginning of the season to eradicate their bodies of everything that they've done throughout that season by eating the meats. So they just eat meats and they leave the herbs out. It's the same thing with the magic. They like, oh, I'm just going to put this, you know what I'm saying, away because, you know, the magic is actually, you know what I'm saying, in this white iconography of the figure that they call Christ. And that's not necessarily so, you know. So there's no other, you know, wild magicians on this planet than the Christian church, than the Catholic Church at this particular point. So you are watching an operable system that has real-time effects. If you want to see what the effects of those things are, look at the Catholic Church. Look at the asses they kicking by using magic in its proper format. You feel me? That might not settle too well with some people, but it is what it is. You feel me? Like, the energies are going to go to those that are directing it in its best way, you know, that are paying most respect in terms of homage to the deities and to the rituals and things of that nature. They're gonna fall in line for that. You feel me?
I want to say that science, magic is not biased. Whoever works the hardest is gonna win, right? So we like to look at the Vatican, right? They know what the fuck they doing, right? And they don't take no days off. You know, what you gotta study is how long does it take you to become a Jesuit priest and how much training you go through in Jesuit school. So if we're gonna battle certain forces of evil, quote unquote evil, we have to train harder and we have to really understand you gotta apply this 24/7. We gotta have more circles All right, we gotta have more circles. You got men and women in a circle conjuring up energies to combat whatever we dealing with. We can't just be bitching and marching. Use your magic. You know, we the most powerful people on the planet. And if we can't use our magic, we're gonna lose. And we gotta out practice the oppressor.
Yeah, like we are taking a niggardly approach to magic. It's just like we take a niggardly approach to everything else, to life, period. So, you know, this whole application that I'm gonna put half of me in and expect an entire whole outcome is what we even bring to the realm of magic. You know what I'm saying? And that's no longer magic. It's called witchcraft. You know what I'm saying? That's not even magic. It's half-ass. So the results that we're seeing is half-ass, and then people are judging the results based on that. Oh, see, this shit don't work. Just like everything else, just like paperwork, just like everything else that they do in the community. Oh, this shit don't work. I ain't fucking with that. That's some bullshit. I'm gonna go back to church, the biggest magical system where the spell is evident. You feel me? So it's funny, you know what I mean? It's funny at the end of the day. You know, when you could detach yourself from the emotions, step back and look at it for what it is, and you like, damn, you know, they got us in a bind based on our own stupidity, not willing to go super hard, not willing to be dedicated to something, you know what I'm saying, where this is your everyday, all day practice, you know, or your regimen, because it shouldn't even, you know what I'm saying, even practice has the wrong connotation, but yeah. You know, we treating it like it's holidays. They treating it every day.
Right. I just want to say, you know, to a lot of our people, right, a lot of our men who got this bravado, if you dark enough to bust your gun, you dark enough to call on your ancestors, your darker ancestors for your salvation. All right? If you dark enough to do that shit, then if you dark, be all the way dark. Don't bust your gun in. Oh, I don't want to deal with the spirits and all that. You dark. And then you got to understand, like, your oppressor wants to destroy your ass. So you got to learn how to turn that energy and be more esoteric in your approach. And you're going to, if we could get enough brothers to do that, you're going to see a lot of things changing overnight.
I just wanted to make one point. When somebody is invoking the light, that shit is always coming from a distant place. And we know light takes time to get here. What? 40, man. Into their darkness. All right. That shit is right here. You know, the energy is always with you. Darkness always envelopes you. You know what I'm saying? So what moves faster, darkness or light? You feel me? So I just wanted to, you know, just that concept that people need to keep into their mind. You know, if light takes time to get here, is that shit not artificial? You know what I mean? Because it can never outrun darkness. Darkness is always enveloping you. It's always right there. It come like that.
As soon as you put something in front of that light.
Darkness is over 80% of the universe. All right? If we come from darkness, it makes sense to utilize that. You know, over 80% of the universe is dark energy and dark matter.
Yeah. You can't
Let the brother
add
ask.
else to that.
I want to get into a little bit. When people think about the dark forces, they associate the moon with that a lot. And you only hear like people that's into the occult reference the moon. Give me some science on the moon, because I've heard people say it's a satellite. I've heard people say it used to be. Did Elijah say it used to be a part of the earth and it broke off or something? Was that Elijah that said that? All right, well, it's been said. I don't want to misquote the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, but it's been said. Some people say that it's a base station for UFOs. Some people, you know, when it's a full moon, everybody says you should be outside doing your rituals. It's associated with a woman's cycle. The women have gotten a bad rep for the cycle. They think that's some evil shit when she gets a menstrual cycle. So there's a lot of ideas thrown out there about this moon. Give me some clarification on the moon, please.
So the first thing you want to understand about the moon, right, is we cannot disregard the moon. All right, it's a proven fact that when the moon is full, or when we have like a super moon, more than half of you won't even be able to go to sleep. And then the other half of you will have these crazy ass nightmares. So this is something of significance, right? And then we also know that the moon affects the energy on the planet, right? So you know the precinct is going to get a lot more phone calls. Okay, so whether it's a satellite or not, let's deal with the right and exact science on what the vibrational pull is doing to us. All right, and then so if we know that, we also know that when the moon is new, right? The seed is planted, right? And then by the time it's full, these things that are planted are fully grown. So dealing with the moon and the science of the moon, we understand that in a new moon you plant your thoughts. Also, the thoughts that come to you are right and exact, and they're going to manifest if you follow through with them. And if you understand timing, right? See, the thing with the full moon and the new moon, we have pinnacles, cycles, right? And we got to understand waning. We got to understand the proper time to ask for something, the proper time to not ask for something. Okay, we got to understand. If you really want to work the science, you're supposed to know the exact second that the moon comes in. That's when you start doing your ritual. That you can't go. You should not be asleep when the moon is coming into its next cycle. So you know that's just a little bit.
Yeah. Like he said, you know, we're talking about cycles. You feel me? Just like he's talking about the new moon, which is the moon that you don't see, that is permeating the planet with bioluminescence, black light, which actually, you know, is starting to make things grow. It's the same thing about our reality. The way that we create reality is in darkness, in our subconscious, in our dream state. Okay? All right? Not the conscious wake state. You know, I'm conscious, I'm awoken. Don't shit get made, then, you know what I mean? It gets manifested in that particular state. But you're creating in your subconscious, in your sleep state, in the darkness, in pure darkness. You know? So that's how important that the moon is, because that's where things are actually created, in the darkness. You know what I'm saying? Under that bioluminescence. You know what I mean? Under that dark light. So the moon, in that respect, is one, like the brother said, one of the most important magical tools. That's why it gets a bad rap. Everything, peace God, everything that is necessary for magic, as well as the woman, because she's synonymous with the moon as well, has been demonized by puritanical religion. Okay? By puritanical religion. So they've demonized the moon, they've demonized the woman, they've demonized the woman's moon cycle. You know what I'm saying? Her menstruation. Everything has been demonized by way of this one book. So, you know, it ain't hard to tell. You just look at it for what it is, and you can see all of the patterns point back to what? Organized religion.
It's interesting because when you go into the linguistics of a lot of phrases in organized religion, it's dealing with worship of the moon. And there's nothing wrong with that if you understand the science. All right, the moon, like the brother said, is one of the most powerful tools that we utilize. See, we don't just sit up and look at the moon. We use it, right? So, for example, in the new moon, right, when you can't see this thing, right, that's usually the time that the Navy SEALs go out on their missions. Okay, in ancient ninjutsu, that would be the time where you will get deep into your subconscious to actually plan a mission. All right, so that's going back into the darkness. All right, the moon and the element that we use to connect with the moon is silver. So, you know, under these super moons and these new moons, and when you can feel that moon energy, you got to have your silver either charging or you got to have it on you. All right. The last thing I want to say about the moon is dealing with meditation. Okay, and it's dealing completely with the woman. As a brother said, that's why it's demonized, because it's dealing with the woman and it's dealing with so-called witchery.
Yes, indeed. You know, we know that that's the root word of lunacy, comes by way of the full moon, the lunar moon, because the moon is actually pulling on the tides, right, on the waters in the body. So let's say you go to a club on a full moon and you're drunk, you know what I'm saying, you throwing them back, and the alcohol is actually depleting the water in your body, then you're going to be more susceptible to the pulls and the draws of that moon, and that's going to make you what they call quote-unquote crazy or a lunatic. That's why he said that the precinct has more activity during these times of, you know, of the year, or the month for that matter. So we can see the direct connection and correlation that the moon has, you know what I'm saying, on the body, on the actual tides and the activities, not only on the waters, but the body as well, because you're composed primarily of water. And we also live inside of a fishbowl. We're surrounded by water. And this air and this oxygen, we don't see it for what it is, but we just fish in a fishbowl.
You want to be able to call the shots, right? So if we know a full moon is approaching in 3 days, train yourself not to flip out and get emotional, because it's not going to be easy. And when other people do get emotional, give them the benefit of the doubt. You know, like, you know, you can use the moon to gauge personality. Okay, don't call him on Monday on a full moon because he's going to be moody. Wait till Tuesday. So it's like you got to use these tools to your advantage.
Right. To be wise, wisdom, you know what I'm saying, which also connects directly to that aspect of moon, woman, and silver. All right? We have to be wise. We have to utilize our wisdom during these periods, or you can get pulled in and actually get crushed by those tides, which are, in our case, manifest by way of emotion, right? Energy and motion. Moon, also the root word, moon, of money, the current, okay? Currency, all right? So let us be mindful of the importance of that moon energy, you know what I'm saying? That silver, that coinage.
Right.
Where I'm at right now in my spiritual journey, I'm heavily into what they call a quantum world. Well, I guess there's no difference between a quantum world and the dark side to begin with. It's just a different term, a westernized term. But what I'm saying is, when you deal with the quantum world, and you know what people call the law of attraction, and you find out that this is really just a holographic projection from your higher self. You're projecting part of your consciousness down here just to experience yourself, quote unquote, outside of yourself, but we know there's no such thing as separation. Where does that tie in with these dark forces and the dark side? Because when people think about the dark side, they think about people doing magic on each other, and women doing magic on men to try to get a man, and this dude doing magic on him trying to hurt him to get some territory or something like that. If this is a quantum world, and the only thing that really exists is me, and both of you are different aspects of me when I vibrate on that frequency, how can somebody actually do something to me magically unless I'm doing it to myself? Because the dark side teaches you this person might hurt you, that person might hurt you. But when you study quantum, you figure out nobody's really hurting you. Nobody's out to get you but you. So I want you to connect the two to me. Can somebody do harm to you? Can the Vatican do a ritual on black people? Or is nobody doing a ritual on black people but black people to begin with?
Very good question. A lot more of you need to study quantum physics and quantum mechanics, because there's layers to this. So the first thing I want to say is that when it comes to the quantum world and this physical reality, right? This stuff, all right? When scientists do tests over and over, and then they shrink and the particles, the rules change a little bit. Okay, entertaining physical reality, magic can be done on you. Okay, you being in that amen state, you know, that total pitch black, that total darkness, then no. Okay, now you're the supreme being at that point. Right, you're one with the all in that state that you're existing in at that point. But if you are entertaining physical reality, you are bound to the laws of physical reality. So absolutely it can be worked on you. Understand that when we say dark side and magic, we're not talking about hocus pocus. We're talking about application and how to manipulate things on this realm and in the next realm, in your psyche. So, you know, there's different layers, and you don't want to mix everything up because it don't work that way. So I want to say that, like, for example, the Vatican, right? The only reason the magic works on you is because in that moment that they're working the elementals and the element that you're entertaining, that you exist in, you're bound to those laws. So absolutely. Now, if you take yourself out of that, right, and you want to go up in a mountain and meditate for 8 hours till you're damn near dead, then absolutely not. You're not in that reality.
Yeah, I think the brother answered it perfectly. If I was to add anything to that, I would say, you know, what he's talking about, if I can present it in the model, you know, how they say if the black man is unified as one, then there could be nothing done to him by outside forces. But when he becomes differentiated and separated onto himself, then they could attack that individual. You know what I'm saying? So that's what it is when you have now contracted to be part of this reality and you take on the concept of the self. Then the self is subject to all sorts of things. You know what I'm saying? Especially if the self does not see itself connected to the all. You know, then the self has this ever-going conflict where they have set themselves apart from the all and they're trying to get back to it, but they're born into this concept, you know, promoted by religion, that you're born in sin and all of it. Somebody died for your sins, and you know what I'm saying? So everything is now external. You've already set yourself aside. There's an interceder automatically. Now it's 3 people in the picture, you know what I'm saying, off the break. And you just continuously get hit upside your head with all of this game about, you know, your parents and your school and your teacher and, you know what I mean? So everything is just about now you are entertaining the reality of your experiences. You're so far removed from the fact that you're like, damn, I just came from the all and I am the all. You know, all things are me. You're not seeing it like that. You know what I mean? Are you also saying that that woman that you're going into and impregnating and giving a birth to a child as you as well? Technically it is, but we don't look at it like that. So we're talking about levels, you know what I'm saying, of realization. And when a person gets to that particular level of realization, they've often went through many trials and tribulations. That's just not something you automatically snap your fingers and click and come into. You probably got to be secluded, go into the mountains for a few years, you know, and meditate to actually get back to that point. All right?
Hey, you know, the question is, what's the most powerful form of magic? You know, and it's collective consciousness, right? Because collective consciousness is what we call the Elohim, right? Right? In collective consciousness, you are the supreme being, right? This is why the collective consciousness is constantly being attacked. This is why media is trying to get you to sway this way or that way, or this way, because that's where the power is. One or the other. So, like, if we all just get sucked in to the right, boom, that's magic. And anyone who's a true occultist or really into dark science understands that, and they will go after collective consciousness. Either they're going to do it for the betterment of the people on the planet or opposite of that.
Okay, so just to wrap up the interview, I appreciate the interview, fellas. Is there anything you want to leave the family with out there about Halloween? Anything you want to add extra that you may not have said that you want the family to know or you want the family to do on Halloween?
If you don't get anything else out of anything I said, understand Halloween, Samhain, is an ancient tradition that our ancient ancestors acknowledged, and it was a celebration for the ancestors. And this modern Halloween culture, right, it's a mimic of what our ancestors did on that day. The reason you see people dressing up like shamans, it's a residual energy of this mimic ritual, because they notice our ancestors dressing up in their garb in their ceremonies. So I want you to understand that our ancestors are looking forward to connecting with you on Samhain. All right, so don't miss out on the opportunity to connect with your ancestors in this thin veil, especially a year like this, a year where we had all these interesting events, and in a year where we had these super moons back to back, and we had all these blood moons and all of these alignments in the planet. We know we just had a supermoon a few days ago. Understand, this is a significant year, and if you really want to get the messages, and especially if you want to get through this winter properly, you gotta connect with your ancestors when the veil is thinnest. Halloween, I don't care what you do, you don't gotta go out and celebrate, right? At least create an altar and honor your ancestors.
I was going to say that if you can, for the most part, give them some instructionals, because you said some things earlier about them and their women and getting into ritual and things of that nature. You know, let's not take for granted that everybody knows what you might be talking about. And you also got to qualify when you say our ancestors practice that, because you know they're going to be here like, I need primary sources. What country was that in? During what circa period? What? You know what I mean? Was they doing that on a plantation? You know what I'm saying? Like, they get real emotional when you use the word ancestors and, you know, whatever they consider quote-unquote pagan or European in the same sentence. You know, but if you can specify specifically, you know, what it is that they might do, what color candle, are they looking for a certain time on Halloween? Is it a day before Halloween? Should they be starting, you know, today, 3 days or 2 days? You know what I mean? Like, what type of window are we talking about?
Okay, I want to explain that Samhain, right, the original name for what we call Halloween, was practiced primarily by our Native American ancestors, mainly in North America. Okay, and all you have to do is research Samhain. Okay. The reason we have the thing with the pumpkin is because our ancestors would carve pumpkins, and they would carve our ancestral sigils, which we call veves and firmas, into these pumpkins, and they would put candles in them, and then they would put them outside. So that's where that comes from. All right, so you want to do things like that. Yes, the color orange. Okay, pumpkins. It's more of a what we call a feast day. All right. I want to explain that in Samhain, right? Our ancient ancestors had what we call the spirit dance. And we would party, right? And then at the very end of the night, when we got to witching hour, a lot of our ancestors would get into these interesting ancestral dances, and they would go under ancestral possession, and then the ancestors would come down, and that's where that whole Halloween thing came from. Yes, Halloween, Samhain started on October 1st. it's a season of energy, and it wraps up in the 31st. So the closer we get towards the 31st, you know, the more that veil between this realm and the other realm is open. So, you know, start doing stuff now to prepare for Samhain.
Excellent. You know what I'm saying? I don't know what else to say other than that. I want to definitely thank the family for joining us on this most important discussion, especially for those that, you know, might still be with the shits and you dressing your little ones up. You know what I'm saying? And you sending them out there. Just know what you participating in. And like everything that we tell you about, you know, don't approach it from a point where you're unintelligible. Hold on. Bro, man. Don't approach it from an aspect where you're unintelligible about it. You know what I'm saying? And don't be a victim. Own the energy. Stand on top of it. You feel me? Like ride the wave. You feel me? So that's all we're talking about. The responsibility that goes along with this actual juncture point in time. Because like the brother said, there's a lot of preparation that needs to be done for the upcoming winter season. You know, typically what we know is the season of death. You know what I'm saying? As we stand here in Scorpio, shout out to my Scorpios. You feel me? Get on your Scorpio shit, man. We know that there's things that need to be done right here and right now. All right? We know that we need to put these ancestors to work. And that's what they're here for. They're not here for glamorization. They're not here, you know what I'm saying, for infatuation. They're not here, you know, just to be hanging up pictures on the wall, you know what I'm saying, and lamenting over them. No, put them to work. You feel me? Put them to work. Feed them and put them to work. Okay? That's that. Peace.
Any contact info you want?
Oh, you can find me on Facebook, Terane Hicks, Terane Hicks. Friend requests me, asked to get into the royal bloodline because we deal with this science. All right, it's a secret group, it's exclusive, but we dealing with science and we are applying. If you want to get in on a group meditation on Samhain, inbox me, Terane Hicks, TERANEHICKS.
44 on Instagram. You can holler at me. Paul Marlin on Facebook. I can't accept no more people, so get at me on IG or what have you. But like the brother said, most importantly, this is about the Royal Bloodline group. You know, friend request them. Try your best to get up in that group. You know what I mean? Because I've witnessed some dynamic things take place in that group. So we're talking about collective mind. We're talking about quantum mind. We're talking about manifesting in real time, right? What they call, right, the mastermind. Okay, so this is the mastermind group. This is how quantum mind works. This is why the 1111 meditation is so powerful. Quantum mind. If you could get a collective of people on one thought conjunctively, irregardless of where they're at physically, because according to string theory and quantum physics, it don't matter where you're at physically. All right, it's depending on the intent. It's depending on the focus. All right, so if we could collectively put our minds together, then we can make some real things happen in real time. And that's what I look forward to. That should be the magic that we're all interested in. Peace.